how do you develop how do you do your keyword research for a product or a website?
First and foremost, it's really understanding your target audience.
Yeah.
It starts there. So once you've identified your target audience, you want to kind of develop topics.
Yeah.
Various type of topics that you feel will be very valuable or insightful towards your target audience. So once you develop these topics, you can call them topic buckets, right? So once you have these different topics, then you what you do is you kind of just come up with some of your own keywords. And you dump them inside these topic buckets.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you've done that, then you do some keyword research. So there's a lot of great tools that you could use. We suggest I use SEMrush for this.
Okay.
And it will basically suggest to you some other keywords that you could use, organically speaking, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, so when you're doing that keyword research, you also want to take into consideration things like search volume, whether or not there are other websites which are also ranking for those keywords already, because you don't want to end up using keywords that are going to be really tough to rank for. So for that, you also have to do your competitive keyword research. So what keywords are your competitors using?
Yeah.
And then finally, the last step is compiling your keywords into those topic clusters. So that would basically kind of give you your foundation into setting up your content planning as well.
All right.
So that's the in a nutshell answer.
So in a nutshell, so when it comes to keyword research, right? You said look at the competition, right? So and when I do research, I see like if the top ranking sites are like HubSpot or like companies that do a lot of SEO or a lot of SEO companies in there. So one is the search volume and then followed by competitors.
Yeah. But this is more of the smaller scale stuff. So things like competitive keywords, search volumes, keyword difficulty.
Yeah.
I would say though, above all, when it comes to the main thing to consider when doing keyword research is always going to be user intent.
Okay.
There's really no point coming up with great keywords with like tens of thousands of searches every single month. But if those keywords do not link or do not connect to your audience, it basically defeats the purpose.
Basically, what I gather is to find that gold nugget, that keyword, right, is a long tail keyword that has a good search volume.
A healthy amount, I would say.
A healthy amount,
Search volume is not a primary. I wouldn't even say secondary.
Okay.
To be honest, it's just something to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah.
If let's say there's you're trying to sell clothing. Let's say if you're doing B2C, so obviously you would rather tap into keywords that have at least maybe 1,000 or so monthly search volumes, right? But it still boils down to user intent. That's like the golden word for this.
Okay.
It really is. So user intent will always be your top priority when you're doing your keyword research, and then from there you kind of boil it down into your competitive keywords or LSI keywords or long tail phrases and so forth. And then you kind of match that with other numerical data like search volumes, keyword difficulty, and so forth.
All right. So to give a solid example to our audience, so maybe they don't understand the word user intent. So let's take an example. Like if I want to buy a mobile phone, like a Samsung phone, for example. So a good intent would be Samsung mobile phone price, or what's your thought?
No, I would probably say pros and cons of Samsung's new phone.
Okay.
Or why you should not buy a Samsung, right? Because that actually be very surprised. That's going to generate more traffic to people who are interested in the phone, right? Instead of for that very same user looking for why they should be buying that phone, right?
So pros and cons, and why you should not buy a Samsung phone.
Just kind of top of the mind examples.
So the context there is when someone searches for pros and cons of Samsung phone, or what if like someone searches Samsung phone versus Huawei, for example. So the psychology behind it is when I'm looking for reasons not to buy, I'm actually very interested, or I'm actually making a consideration towards it, so that I'm in the consideration phase, so the intent is higher.
Actually, no. So let's say if you're trying to get ranked for why you should not buy a Samsung,
Yeah.
and then there's a Samsung, at least a person who's interested in buying a Samsung actually visits that content.
Yeah.
You're probably going to state why they should not buy it, but the thing it's always how you use your words.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So let's say it's like you should not buy it, right? Because this phone has killer specs.
Okay. Okay.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's got one of the world's best cameras, which you don't really need, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? So you're kind of saying something good about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So drawing them into like, wait, they're saying like, why I should not buy Samsung, but then they're saying all of these things which are good about it. You know what I mean? Which reminds me of this tourism campaign that was done by Thailand, why they say 10 reasons why you should not visit Thailand.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that video. Have you seen that video?
No.
No? Okay, but it's a similar concept. What you're trying to do first and foremost is actually driving traffic,
Okay.
right? So once you have the traffic, once the people actually land on your page, it's up to you to work your magic in terms of how you want to use your keywords there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another example is why you should not buy Samsung phones. And then what's the other example?
Pros and cons
Pros and cons.
of buying a Samsung.
So to tie that back to search intent, right? So when I search for pros and cons, I'm looking for comparisons, right? I'm looking so my intent is generally I'm going to buy, but I'm looking for reasons to buy.
Yes. Yeah. You have to first understand. So from your keywords, obviously, when you're talking about something like buying a phone, the typical user would go through maybe 5, 10, 20 different sources until he actually makes that decision to purchase a phone. So to understand what information that he's gathering along the way, right? Whether they're specifications, whether they're comparison pages, that there's actually a very specific kind of flow that happens. If you understand that flow, and then you're the person that's selling the phone, then you want to basically get the keywords right at the bottom of the funnel. So those kind of keywords would be possibly, get this, buy the Samsung and get a free casing plus a screen protector plus a ticket to a concert. I don't know, anything really. You know what I mean? And just finding those keywords. So the best tool actually I would use for this is that you put in some of your competitor websites, right?
Okay.
And then you kind of draw out some of those keywords.
All right.
Right? And then that will basically give you a head start in understanding what kind of user intent driven keywords you could possibly use.